Hey guys, I've tried recording this video literally probably like 8, 9 times. It always ends up being like 30 minutes, and I don't think it needs to be. So I'm gonna kind of trim the fat on it, and there's some things I'm not really gonna talk about. But this is gonna be a video regarding The Last of Us 2 leaks. Um, I have taken a look at all of them. The text posts, the leaked cutscenes. I think I've seen about 8 or 9 leaked cutscenes. So all of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is going to be corroborated by the cutscenes. It's all going to be stuff that is actually confirmed. I'm not going to talk about any of the stuff that we haven't seen as of yet. Um, and I'd also like to state that obviously, spoiler warning for The Last of Us 2. Just keep that in mind as we're going forward. I'm going to be talking about my issues with it. And in my opinion, I've seen a lot of YouTubers, Young Yia, Funhouse, a lot of people talking about the situation, but haven't actually looked at the leaks. To me, that's absolutely pointless, and I don't see the point in making content on it. If you are going to talk about why the fans are upset about something, you should do the research and actually take a hit for the team, spoil yourself, and figure out why they're upset. If these people actually looked at the leaks, I think it'd be fairly evident why people are upset, but they don't, or at least they say that they don't. And in my opinion, it's pointless. So I'm going to be talking in detail about the leaks and why I think that people are mad and why they should be mad. Um, I'm not really going to touch on the political correctness and the SJW agenda being shoved down our throats in the game. If you think that that's the issue with the game, then okay, that's fine. I personally don't think it's an issue or it's the issue in the game. Do I believe that there's an agenda being pushed down our throats? Absolutely, with the very detailed and graphic lesbian relationship with Ellie and her girlfriend. I believe her name is Dinah or Dina. Um, on top of that, the fact that Abby is a trans character and is fighting homophobic Christians, I feel all of that is just a bit silly. It feels very forced. It doesn't feel like something that would be in the natural world that they created in The Last of Us 1. And that's something I'm going to be touching on a lot for why I think that there's so many issues with The Last of Us 2's narrative, is because it feels like it's bad fan fiction. It feels as if they're just throwing away all of the stuff that happened in The Last of Us 1 to subvert expectations and go purely for shock value, which is something that we've seen in the likes of Game of Thrones Season 8, where it was just absolute dog shit because they tried so hard to surprise people and subvert expectations. But the problem with that was that they had 7 seasons worth of other narrative built up that they then just threw out the window in order to surprise people. It seems like that's exactly what is occurring in The Last of Us 2, where we have, a 10, 12-hour video game that many people have played several times. Many people love the characters and the world that was built up in that game, and they're simply throwing all of that out the window in an attempt to subvert expectations and shock people in a way that I don't believe does the narrative any justice. So that's what I'm going to be touching on. I'm not going to be touching on the political correctness or any of that in this video. Instead, I'm going to be touching on how the characters are done wrong in The Last of Us 2. Now, it should be stated, first of all, that I've only seen about 8 or so cutscenes of the game. That is most certainly not a large portion of the game. I've seen about 25 minutes of unedited footage from the first half of the game, and I have read the leaks, and judging by how everything else seems accurate, I would say that the text leaks are indeed accurate as well, although it is hard to say. You never know. So I'm just going to be talking about what has been corroborated by the cutscenes as well, because that's how we know it's 100% confirmed. So I'm not going to be talking about Ellie dying at the hands of Abby, because from the cutscenes that we have seen as of now, Ellie did not die. She did have her arm snapped, and Dinah did have her face pounded into the cement. But she did not die. So I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say I can't corroborate if she dies or not. That could be the last cutscene in the game. Some people have said that it is the last cutscene in the game, and if that is the last cutscene in the game, then Ellie doesn't seem to die at the end. But I will not be talking about Ellie dying because we haven't seen that as of yet. I will, however, be talking about Joel dying and how that is a severe injustice to his character and kind of a slap to the face in anybody that is really interested in it, and it doesn't really make sense either in the narrative. So I don't think anybody would argue that Joel shouldn't die in The Last of Us 2. I think it was pretty agreed upon that Joel would indeed be dead. Some people were even speculated that he was already dead, and Ellie was simply seeing him in some sort of visions or dreams or something like that. We now know that Joel is very much alive, and he is killed at the hands of Abby and her crew. To be fair, a lot of people are just stating that it's Abby versus Joel, and that's not true. He is severely outnumbered. We see that in the cutscene when she is beating his head in with a goddamn golf club. Ellie comes in, and several guys are also there that tackle her to the ground and beat the hell out of her and make her watch as Joel is murdered. Just due to the graphic nature of the scene, it's fairly evident that they are really just trying so hard to go for shock value here, to really hammer home, this game isn't going how you thought it was going to go. You thought it was going to go one way, and we're going the other way. Look at this. Look at the detail on her bashing his head in. Look, Ellie has to watch, and she's on the floor screaming, crying. It's just very, very evident that they're trying so hard to shock the viewers. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with shocking the viewers when it's done well. However, when it comes out of left field like this does, it doesn't make any sense. Joel most definitely should die in The Last of Us 2, and Joel most definitely is a villain. He is a bad guy. I mean, anybody that would argue against that, I would say, has a very distorted sense of morality. And sure, in an apocalyptic situation, your morality is going to be distorted, but condemning all of humanity for your own selfish desires to have a new daughter is a terrible thing to do. It is an awful thing to do. And I don't think many people would really agree with that. Joel most definitely needed to die, but in a narrative perspective, I believe that he should have died in some form of like a redeeming way, right? There should have been a bit of a redemption, and that was the beautiful thing about us getting Last of Us 2, is there was that option, that chance for Joel to go ahead and die a hero, saving Ellie or something like that, and as a result, sort of redeeming himself from the actions that he took and the horrible things that he did in The Last of Us 1. However, instead of that, you have an unnamed character simply going after him for revenge, which is a very, very cliche and lazy writing technique of, oh, this new character introduced is the child of a character from the last game or movie or novel. Like, that is so cliche. It's very lazy writing. And it just comes across as being so forced. And especially with the character being trans, it's hard to argue against the fact that it is just forced. And it really does just end up feeling like Nadine from Uncharted 4, where you have this character coming out of nowhere that has no backstory or reason for her being so strong. All you get for Nadine is that she's a mercenary. But out of nowhere, you have this strong black independent woman beating the hell out of Nathan Drake, Sully, his boyfriend, all of them single-handedly. And, we're talking about Nathan Drake, somebody who has literally fought a god, like somebody with godlike powers that was immortal, in one of the games. And he's getting his ass beat by this random chick. It just doesn't make any sense, and it came across as being forced due to Neil Druckmann and his very lazy writing. I honestly don't believe he's that great of a writer. But it just came across as being very forced and it didn't make any sense. And now we have the same situation here in The Last of Us 2, where Abby comes along and she beats the shit out of Joel, ends up killing him. Joel, by the way, this is only 5 years after The Last of Us 1. That's not that long of a time, okay, to be clear. People were saying, oh, well, he's really old now. It's been 5 years, dude. He's not like 70 years old or something, okay? It's been 5 years. What did he do 5 years ago in The Last of Us 1? Oh yeah, he killed hundreds of dudes, including took on an entire army of fireflies with nothing, no armor, no anything, just took on an entire army of fucking fireflies. But you're telling me that this shitty group and Abby can beat the hell out of this guy? It just doesn't make any sense from a narrative perspective. It doesn't seem like something that would be canon. It seems like some weird nonfiction shit, or some weird fan fiction shit, not nonfiction. Uh, but on top of that, he has no redemption or anything of the like, and it really just throws his character into the shitter. I mean, the whole reason that The Last of Us 1 is a great game, and in my opinion, Last of Us 1 is one of the few 10 out of 10 experiences out there in gaming. I do believe it is a perfect game, and I do believe that it's the reason for it being perfect is solely due to the narrative and the relationship between Joel and Ellie. If it was not for Joel and Ellie and you didn't have that rapport and you didn't have those two characters, the game would be a 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. Let's face it, the gameplay is nothing special whatsoever. The world is nothing special whatsoever. Zombie apocalypse where a fungal infection makes people into zombies. It's not interesting whatsoever. I mean, it's very cliche. It's been done a million times before. It's unoriginal. The reason that The Last of Us 1 is so good is due to that relationship between Joel and Ellie, how that builds in their realistic interactions with one another. And the fact that The Last of Us 2 seems to just throw all of that out of the way to subvert expectations and shock the player is why it fails the characters on a fundamental level. It throws everything out the window. The character that you knew Joel to be, the badass that he was, out the window. It doesn't matter anymore. I mean, we're talking about a guy that literally took a rod through the fucking stomach and survived to beat the shit out of hundreds of more dudes. I mean, we're talking about that Joel. And he's just getting his ass beat by some chick. It's just very unrealistic, and I think that's what it comes down to. Is The Last of Us has always touted itself on being fairly realistic in the way that it represents the characters, and sure, you do have Joel beating the shit out of a bunch of dudes, but I mean, that's not impossible by any means, especially because he is so grizzled and he has the strategy. It's very believable that he could take on the Firefly soldiers in that situation because he has so much experience by that point. And it just comes down to feeling like I don't know who would want to play The Last of Us 2 as Abby for the second half of the game. Who would want to play half of the game as a character that just killed your favorite character? I mean, I don't know how they thought that that was a good idea. I don't know how they really thought to themselves, yeah, people are going to be happy with this. People are going to like this. I don't know what was going through their mind. And honestly, you could even make an argument for it being, disingenuous advertising. I mean, if you really wanted to, half of the game is played as Abby, a character that nobody knows fucking anything about. I mean, that seems pretty disingenuous to advertise a game on the premise of you playing as Ellie with Joel, and then, oh, by the way, you only do that for half of the game, and then this unknown character comes along, beats the shit out of Joel, kills him, and now you get to play as her as you hunt down Ellie. I mean, how is that a good idea? What is the marketing behind that? I mean, you could argue that they did show that second trailer with Abby and the two younger Asian individuals. I apologize, I don't know their name. But they did give us a trailer on that where Abby is being hanged by the cult, by the homophobic Christians. Oh, woo. You could make that argument that they did show that trailer, but that's not how they're advertising the game whatsoever. They're advertising the game as playing as Ellie and going along with Joel for an adventure to get back your girlfriend. I mean, that is exactly what they've advertised, and that's only half of the game. Um, Honestly, it just comes across as very disingenuous, and it's just done as a way to shock the player. And they don't care if they throw the characters out the window. They don't care about any of that. All they care about is, oh, are we surprising people? Oh, are we meeting our SJW quota for having a certain amount of LGBTQ members in our game? Ooh, are they portrayed in a strong light? And honestly, it's just disappointing. And that's what it comes down to is, will I still play the game? Absolutely, I will. And the reason why I will, a lot of people say, oh, just save your $60. This leak saved me $60 is because I am somebody that, I mean, one, I'm a streamer. I play basically all of the new games that come out. But two, I am somebody that prides myself in playing things for myself before forming a concrete opinion. And that's why my reviews that I do are I would say pretty unique versus other people's reviews. You know, a lot of people's reviews, they're written down and they're scripts and they hit on the pros and the cons and this and that. But me, when I review something, I like to go and, you know, assess it from an objective standpoint and talk about mechanics and stuff along those lines, and allow the viewer to form their opinion on if it's going to be good for them. And I do believe that the game is going to be polished. I don't believe that this is going to be something that's rushed out and garbage. Even stuff from the cutscenes that we've seen and stuff like that, and the like 25 minutes of gameplay that I saw, the game looks very polished, and I think that the gameplay is going to be quite good. However, the story itself just doesn't seem like it's there, which sucks, because what's the reason that people are playing The Last of Us? What's the reason that The Last of Us 1 was so good? Entirely because of its story. You just have a mediocre game if it's not for that narrative that's being told. And The Last of Us 2 seems like it's just going to be the gameplay. And to be fair, the gameplay does look significantly better than The Last of Us 1, so I am excited to play it. But that doesn't change the fact that the main reason people are going to be playing The Last of Us 2 is entirely due to that narrative. And for you to just throw away the characters that people have grown to love just in an attempt to shock them and push forward this new character that nobody asked for and nobody wants is just silly. And I understand Abby is going to have her ups and downs in the story as well, but I don't think you will meet a single human being on the entire planet that is going to just forgive her for killing Joel and like her as a character. I don't think that that person exists. I really don't. And I think that's the issue, is that while Joel was morally reprehensible, he was, you know, doing some scum shit in The Last of Us 1. He didn't do anything really, really bad. I mean, even when it comes down to the surgeons, like, you didn't have to kill them. You only had to kill the one that tried to kill you. Which I guess is apparently her dad, the one that tried to kill you with a fucking scalpel. But he didn't do anything extremely bad on an individual level. Sure, you could argue that he did doom humanity, and like I said, I do believe that he should be punished for that, and he should die in some sort of redeeming way in The Last of Us 2. That's what would make sense from a narrative point of view. However, he didn't beat the shit out of a pregnant woman. He wasn't about to slit a pregnant woman's throat after beating her face into cement. right? Just to get back at Ellie, who killed some of her guys. I mean, Abby is just a terrible fucking person, and she's disgusting. And I don't think, and I'm not saying that because she's trans or anything like that. Don't get it twisted. I'm saying it because of the acts that she commits. She is morally disgusting. And it's one of those things where why would we want to play a game like that? I mean, that's only going to appeal to the types of people that wanted to play fucking hatred so they could shoot up innocent people and gun down police officers and pregnant women. I mean, it's the exact same thing. Like, I don't know how that appeals to anybody to play as a piece of shit. But, that's the point that they're going for. Why play with the characters that you grew to love from The Last of Us 1 when you can play as this piece of garbage for The Last of Us 2? And I know that they've argued that their game's not supposed to be fun. This game's not fun, it's edgy and dark. But that's fucking stupid. Okay? That's fucking stupid. Video games are supposed to be fun. All right? And even if you're telling a dark storyline, the game can still be fucking fun. Okay? Like, that argument is fucking dumb. Video games are supposed to be fun. That's why people play them. If your game's not fun, if your game is a chore to go through, nobody's gonna fucking go through it. And that's what I think is gonna happen with The Last of Us 2. I think once you get past the point where Abby kills Joel, I'd say the vast majority of people are putting down the game. They're not playing it. Because when you find out, oh man, this person fucking kills Joel, now I'm gonna play as Ellie, right? And I'm gonna kill her. No, you're gonna play as Abby, and you're gonna hunt down Ellie. It's like, no, who the fuck is gonna want to play that? Other than me. But, I'm a streamer. I'm the 1%, right? Like, most people aren't streamers, and they're not doing it to entertain people, and they don't have people requesting that you play it. Most people are just playing it on their own. And those people are going to have no incentive to play through it, right? It's just one of those things that doesn't feel like it was thought out at all. And I've seen great comments about, imagine if you play Uncharted 4, right? And you're playing as Nathan Drake like always, and then you fight Nadine, and Nadine fucking kills you. And then you play the rest of the game as Nadine, and you're hunting down Sully and Elena and his brother, right? And that's how the game ends, is you're playing as her, hunting down the other characters. It's like, well, why the fuck would I want to play as Nadine? This character just introduced in this game that is OP for no fucking reason, and is gonna kill the characters that I like, and it was already killed the characters that I like. Nobody would play it, and the game would be garbage. And that's exactly what they're doing with The Last of Us 2. And the only feasible reason, the only comprehensible reason that I can give you as to why they thought that that would be a good idea is for one reason and one reason only. Shock value. That's it. That is the only reason that you have this character take over. You have this character even in the game, and they're not who you're trying to kill. Like, seriously. If there was a fucking option, the moment I get control of Abby, I'd make her shoot herself in the fucking head, dude. And I think everybody else would as well. But instead, you have to play along as her for several more hours, the next half of the game, trying to kill Ellie. It's just absurd, dude. It's just absurd. It's lazy, cliche writing for the sole purpose of shocking the gamer. And it honestly makes me worry for Naughty Dog, because I don't think that that they've made very good games recently. I'll be honest. I don't think Uncharted 4 was very good. I don't. I don't think that the Lost Legacy or whatever, the one with Chloe, I don't think that was good at all. I didn't really enjoy that at all. And now apparently those characters are gay for each other or something because they have to be, right? You can't just have two strong females in a game together. Whoa, no. Whoa. They definitely have to be lesbians and into each other. It's like, okay, dude. Like, the studio is just not putting out stuff that I like to see. And it does make me wonder if Sony's kind of going downhill, right? Because we just had Days Gone last year, and Days Gone was a legitimately fucking awful video game. It was terrible. I've met 2 human beings that didn't think it was bad and actually liked it, and I'm never talking to those human beings again because I don't know what the fuck is wrong with them, but that game was doo-doo. Hot doo-doo. And that was a Sony game. And I would argue that that's probably the first bad Sony exclusive we've had for a while. And now we're having The Last of Us 2, which story-wise, I don't think there's any doubt is going to be bad. Gameplay-wise, the game may be redeeming, and when they eventually add in the multiplayer, a lot of people actually liked The Last of Us 1 multiplayer. I don't know why. I didn't like it at all, but a lot of people did. And so maybe that'll be good. But story-wise, Last of Us 2 is looking like it's going to be hot doo-doo. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's, at the end of the day, my feelings on the leaks, god damn it, this video is almost 30 minutes again. Whatever. I'm not recording it again. At the end of the day, my feelings on the leaks are they're not anger. You know, I'm not mad or anything. I'm just disappointed. I know that's kind of a meme thing to say, like what your dad tells you. But it's true. Like, I'm not mad about it, but I'm just disappointed. Because I honestly do believe that The Last of Us 1 is one of the best video games of all time. I think it has one of the best endings of all time. And the beauty of the ending is that it leaves off on a cliffhanger. And by making a sequel at all, you're inherently tarnishing the ending of The Last of Us 1. And by tarnishing the ending of The Last of Us 1, you should be making a really fucking good game for The Last of Us 2. You shouldn't just throw away that beautiful ending of The Last of Us 1 with all of the ambiguity to make a shit game, to just phone it in. And that's really what The Last of Us 2 feels like, is it feels like they're phoning it in, they're getting that fat check. Not going to be so fat now that everybody knows the story and they're pissed. But they're still going to make tons of money off of it, no doubt about it. I mean, a lot of people aren't reading them. You go on Twitter and people are actually fucking defending them. People are actually saying that they read the leaks and they're excited. Okay, fucking masochists or something, dude. Like punching themselves in the dick too. But whatever. To each their own, I suppose. But I'm just disappointed. And sure, we'll still always have The Last of Us 1 as that gem, but it's going to be forever tarnished by The Last of Us 2. Even barring a SJW agenda being shoved down your throat, just the way that they treat their characters is disgusting. I mean, in the fight against Abby, at the end, Ellie does less damage to Abby than Dinah does. Dina, whatever. Her pregnant girlfriend does more damage to Abby than Ellie does. I mean, talk about just throwing your characters out the fucking window, right? Like, come on, dude. It's just silly. But anyway, that's all I have to say on the topic. Well, it's not all I have to say on the topic, but I'm just going to stop there for this rant. Appreciate y'all for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. See all of you guys in the next video or stream Maroney. Bye-bye.